hit that notification button. Don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran, retired VA rating specialist. And I'm here with David Piatek of VA Housing Education. How you doing, David?
Good, man. What's going on? I am jealous of the weather once again. This is a topic that we could probably do a whole video on because up in Chicago, it is freezing right now, but it's a good day overall, man. How you doing?
All right. I am having technical difficulties. My headset has a short in it. So I may have to switch up here. I tell you, technology, right?
Yeah, it's something else.
This is so embarrassing. But I am going to switch.
Well, Dwayne,
before I get in there, you can still hear me. So we're going to get into it. So while you start talking, I'm going to switch over my headset. But yeah, the weather here is good. It got up to 83 degrees yesterday here in sunny Tampa. It is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So when we get done, David, I got to record another YouTube video, and then I'm going to cook some burgers on the burner out back in some shorts and flip-flops for everybody that joined in today. So if you're up north, I definitely feel for you. So is it snow up there, Dave, in Chi-Town?
The what?
Is it snow?
No, but it's just freezing. That's all. So, yeah, just the weather across the country. It was actually pretty warm recently. So, like the other week, it was pretty warm. But next week, it's going to warm up into the 40s. So that's really exciting for us.
Warm up
At least it's not the tundra. Because I think, 2 or 3 years ago, it was like in the negative 60s. So, and also weather has a big effect on real estate and everything else. So
yeah. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were in Chicago then, but I lived up there in the early 2000s, and people got stranded out there on Lakeshore Drive. Like,
yes, the thunder snow.
Yeah, between I-55 and 31st Street. I was like, whoa, that was crazy.
Lakeshore Drive, the cars were completely covered, and then people just had to leave them.
Yeah, I was wondering, how did that happen? Was it snowing that hard or what? I was like,
it was thunder snow. So I've never seen it before. It was actually thundering and snowing at the same time.
Wow.
So I guess they have it up like northeast, but we've never had that. So it's pretty interesting. That. So you want to switch out your headphone and I'll kind of give an update on what major thing happened today.
It just popped back in. So
did it? As you have it.
Go ahead. So what happened? Tell us the big news. Or you can't tell us the rates, but you can tell us where we're going to find the right. But what happened? What happened? Want to make sure.
Yeah. So a couple things with that. So big announcement today is that the Fed funds, they met and they released that they did drop the rates by a quarter. Okay. So now that's the overnight rate that banks lend to each other. So overall cost in theory of like credit cards, HELOCs, home equity lines of credit should be going down. But also the downside is that your savings account interest rate will also go down, right? So if you're a big saver, you don't put money in the markets, and I'm not a financial advisor, then you're going to see a lower return. Now, the big opposite that happened, which again, we've talked about this, Dwayne, when the Fed funds did drop the rates, what did happen with mortgage rates at that time? This is about 2 months ago. They went up a lot. And so how we gauge that is by the 10-year treasury. So I did a video today, like around 2:50 or 3 o'clock, and I did it in real time, pulled up the 10-year treasury, and like clockwork, it shot up, right? So the same effect goes to mortgage rates. Rates go up when that happens. And last year, this time, we did a video where rates were trending downwards, right? And since then, there's been hundreds of thousands of people that refinanced, and they have on average saved $320, which is about $57,000 of mortgage that they're saving on a monthly basis. Okay. So that just happened in the last 2 months. And appreciation's up about 5.7% this year. So I think overall, people that executed in home about home or got into home ownership, early this year and last year, reaped the benefits of dropping rates, and just kind of really positioning themselves in a good financial position, right? Which is what we've been always saying. I even bought a place in the wintertime, minus Florida, probably opposite markets, because people want to move to Florida. And I get it. I am with those people. So I know we talked about that the other day. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And just real quick, on the VA compensation claim side, is there been any big news? Yes. We got a new administration coming in. And what I'm about to talk about is not political, so everybody can relax. But did a video, big changes, and what I wanted people to understand is with a new administration, you're going to get a new VA secretary. And I've seen VA secretaries change in between um administrations. Like, so you got a 4-year period, right? And they may go for 2 years and then they'll resign, then somebody else comes back in after that, and then there's a new administration. So then you may have like 3 VA secretaries in, like, amount of 4.5 years. Okay.
What?
Yes. Yes. And every time I've seen them say, "Oh, I can do it better than the last person. I can do it better than the last person." And that's, then it's, change is slow in the federal government anyway. Change is slow. So when you have a turnover that quick, and a lot of people may say, well, it's 2 years. That's still quick in federal government time, right? Like, human and dog ages, comparing the two. But so now we're going to get a new secretary and we don't know what's going to happen. A lot of people say, "Oh, I heard that they were going to take our compensation away," and I'm like, "Share the link. I want to see it." Well, there's no link. They just somebody say it. They say it. And I'm like, "Well, you get on social media and you're giving false information. Give me a link. I want to go look at it, and then if it's some substance, then I'll talk about it." But right now, we don't know what those changes are going to hold. Okay. And you may not even see them January 20th or February, or you could. Don't know. We have to wait and see. I don't think that they'll cut veterans compensation and take that money and put it, in the private healthcare or something like that. Because I always say, if they thought January 6th was bad, now you got Republican veterans, you got Democrat veterans come together if you're going to take that monthly compensation from them. And, a lot of veterans depend on, that's what they live on. That's the only income that they have, So that's going to be a hard pill. But again, who knows? There's nothing out there that's like any law on the books right now. But if something changes, best believe I will do a video on it. That's the name. I got a video on that, Kimberly. So yeah. So let's take a couple of questions, Dave, and then you said something when you were talking about the changes that I want to add. So I'll say it now, then I'll jump into questions. When you said banks lending to other banks or
to each other.
Right. So I want you to talk about that in a minute.
Yep.
I think I know what you meant by that, but for everybody, may be a little bit confused. Okay. First question we got. This is for you, Dave.
Oh yeah, close on a sale is 20. So in 2 days, congrats on selling your place. How soon can I get my full VA entitlement and purchase a new home with zero money down, specifically getting prior loan down to zero or closed on a COE form? About 5 minutes after you sell your house. So you can sell and buy the same day, but you first must sell and then buy. So what the question here is that why you would want to care about having full entitlement. So folks that don't know, you can use the VA loan unlimited times, number one. And two, you can have unlimited VA loans technically at the same time. what happens is that you run out of entitlement at some point. Now, if you don't have an outstanding VA loan, right, that's what they're asking, full VA entitlement, meaning you have the $36,000 of entitlement, no VA loans attached. If you're eligible and qualified, you could literally buy a $5 million house with zero money down. Now, what happens when you do that, you'll then lock out all your entitlement because this is the complicated part. It's based on Freddie Mac's single family loan limit, no matter how many units you're buying. And what I recommend is check out my channel, VA Housing Education, because I do a ton of videos around that. Because I know just that statement alone, some people might be like, wait, what did you just say? So, because there's a lot of complexity to it. And if you want, schedule a call with me and I'll walk you through it. That's probably the easiest thing to do, just because everyone's situation is unique.
Right. And this is do I submit dependent ad when official birth certificate arrives in the mail, or can I submit certificate of live birth given a hospital as documentation for dependent? Good question, LJ. I don't, as a previous VSR, I never added dependents to anybody's award. That is a VSR function. You can, I would wait until you get the birth certificate. And from my understanding, as long as you get it in within 1 year of birth, they will go back to date of birth. But remember, you have to be 30% or higher. Okay. Because if they were to add your child at dependent before they were born, and Lord forbid, I don't want to speak anything into existence, something happens, then they're going to recoup that money, so just I would wait until after the date of birth you get that birth certificate. David, I completed CMP exams for some claims still in step 3. Though I want to submit a new claim for a new disability, should I wait to file until the first few claims have been adjudicated? Thank you. A lot of people say no. I would say yes. Could it hold up your claim? And the way this works is whenever I rate it, depending on what it is, if it's a reopen, high-level review, whatever, claims get assigned like an EP number. So if it's 030, 040, 010, 020, and they all mean something, like a new claim, or I think a 930 or 940 was like IU or something. So they would know I had to do something with that. So if I was working an increase and you filed a new claim and it came in, if I could grant that increase, I would grant the increase and defer the other condition. But I think it's going to depend on that particular rater. I've been seeing some really crazy things. Some raters will say, okay, I'll grant tinnitus and then I'll defer the other 19 claims out of 20 that you had. Right?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So it's just going to depend on the person that you get. But, you could be strategic and say, okay, I did that exam. I would keep checking. You could keep checking the status just to see if it's been completed, meaning prepare. I think it's called prepare. I can't, it's past the RFD stage. Preparing correspondence to veteran or something like that. And then you go ahead and submit it. That means it's rated and they're just putting together the notification letter for it to go out. Okay. What time do we start?
Oh, I did answer that question.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And on that note, people, next year, we're going to be starting an hour later, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 Central. Okay. Just a heads up.
Do you know if there are any bank account limits to the HUD-VASH? So basically the question is that it's widely known that HUD-VASH program is going to be limited by a certain income that you have. Now, Mike, what I would highly suggest is to reach out to the housing authority that is in control of the HUD-VASH and ask them, because it is widely different across cities, counties, even in the same state, on how they actually administer the program and the requirements that they have.
Okay. Then he asked, Mike asked Dave, when you apply? When do you apply? I'm assuming.
To be some limits. So you might have to disclose how much assets you have, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a factor into it. And just apply as soon as you can. And yeah, so the big part about the HUD-VASH program, which I want to touch on, is that they don't count VA disability as income anymore. So now veterans have a better chance to be uh, put into that program. And I believe there's about $73 million annually not used in HUD-VASH programs. But the veterans that I did talk to in the last year, I would say, they say that it is definitely a painful process to go through to get one. But once you have it, you have it. And I know that these like Section 8 and HUD-VASH programs have been passed down generationally. But at some point you may get out of that program because they may not allow you to buy a house and use it for a house payment.
Well, let me I want you to clarify something, Dave. You said they don't count VA compensation as income.
Correct.
That's just HUD-VASH. That's not if you're going to apply for like a VA loan or a conventional loan.
Yep,
They count.
yep.
They can, okay, all right.
Yeah,
I
so
just
let
want
me
to
give
make
you
sure.
two clarifications. So we're just talking about just the HUD-VASH government program. If it's a state program, they will count VA disability as income. If you're getting a VA home loan or a conventional or a FHA loan or a portfolio loan anywhere, they do count VA disability as income. It's just for the HUD federal programs only.
Okay. Yeah, because I heard you say that. I was like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah. Thank you for clarification.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
figured I figured that what that meant. I figured that's what that meant. Okay,
Yeah.
tongue-tied. So you were saying, Dave, going back to what you stated earlier about banks lending, or the question I had, you said banks were lending other
Yep.
banks.
So the Fed funds rate, and what is that, right? So that's where the interest banks charge one another to borrow money overnight to meet daily reserve requirements. It is not exactly like a fun thing, right? Every bank has to keep minimum reserve requirements with the Fed. So then they could borrow money. That's how they basically run their operations. But it's how banks lend to each other and that rate. And so that kind of sets it, right? So back in 21, when it was down to like 2.5 or like down to zero, it was basically free money. That's why we saw interest rates crazy low and people were just and then the government was buying up debt through their monetary easing. They were buying all the mortgage-backed securities and pretty much any bond that was out there. And that freed up cash for people to then go out and spend that money and give loans, right? So that's kind of how that piece happened. But yeah, the Fed funds rate is the rate that banks charge one another to borrow money overnight to meet daily reserve requirements, right? So that's why when people think like, oh, my mortgage rate's going to drop, you really have to look at that 10-year treasury to get a good idea of where mortgage rates are heading. And also, you guys could check out mortgagenewsdaily.com, and they have like what the rates are and what they're fluctuating. A lot of, stipulations around that because there's a lot more to the housing rates than meets the eye. Like demand is extremely high right now compared to the inventory. Now, this year, we're 26% more inventory than last year. So right now, we're sitting about 690,000 homes on the market, compared to 2019, which is kind of like the benchmark of normal, which is like 800 and some thousand. So we're not that crazy far off. But I think we have more people just getting into that housing piece.
All right. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's keep going with the next question. Is a DTA when the denial states this condition neither occurred in nor was caused by service, then goes on to state a qualifying event, injury, or disease had its onset during service? Vets, we cannot pick and choose what we think is favorable in the rating decision. So the question becomes, did you have a compensation and pension exam? If you did, have you submitted a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, to VBA, Veterans Benefit Administration, because that's where compensation falls under, and get a copy of that CMP exam, because we know there's a negative opinion if you had one, but what was the rationale? Why did that examiner say no? Okay. If you didn't have a CMP exam, there's more in that rating than just these two sentences. I don't know what that is. So it could be a DTA error. I could give you 5 scenarios right now, which I'm not because we're on a live stream, but there's more information that is needed. Not only have I done a video on who denied your claim, and I'm breaking it down in the video, I also done, I think, 2 or 3 videos since I had my channel, one this year on DTA errors. Okay. So I tell a lot of people I have almost 600 videos and live streams on my channel. All you have to do is go to my channel. And I'm pretty sure you're like this. Your channel's like this too, Dave.
Yep.
Type in a keyword and that video will come up. So if you're thinking about what is the form we need, COE, certificate eligibility, if you
Yep.
type in COE, a certificate on David's channel, a video will come up about certificate eligibility. And since Dave and I have been doing it, man, I'm just getting tongue tied. Maybe I'm hungry.
You gotta get that burger.
Yeah. So we're going to grandfather David Piatek into this. So if you go to his channel, David, I got a video for that. 2 Piatek. Okay. 2 Piatek.
I know I need a tagline, people. I need a tagline. And Dwayne says add the 2 to the end of it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
got a video too. You know, somebody gave me that. So yeah, what tagline do you all think David should use when he introduces himself on his YouTube channel for VA housing education? David blank Piatek. Give him something. Give us something. All right.
the next 2 ones are they're duplicates.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do I submit a dependent? And okay, we already. Yeah, you said.
Yep.
Tinnitus is listed as a military occupational hazard. Does that fall under terror? No, falls under direct service connection. And guess what? I got 2 videos on how to win your VA claim for tinnitus. And in those videos, I talk about a specific topic, how to explain acoustic trauma, how you were exposed to acoustic trauma, loud noises, right?
Yeah,
It's
but
easy.
they have a list of also MOS specific things that basically, if you fall into this category, they grant it.
No, not necessarily.
No.
You still need a medical opinion. Well, in certain cases, you don't need a medical opinion. If it's documented in service, that was my first quality error at the VA. A veteran claimed tinnitus, goes to the exam, comes back, doctor said, nope, not related to service. I denied a claim. One of my first error, I think it was probably like my 3rd claim. No, it was longer than that. Maybe I was probably like 2 or 3 weeks in the rating process, and the quality rep gave me an error. And I'm like, on tinnitus? I'm like, what? He was like, the veteran was diagnosed in service. So according to M21-1 ... even though the doctor said no, you could have granted the benefit. And I was like, and I never made the error again.
Oh, wow.
I never made, and I think in one of those videos I show that M21-1 and I talk about it. I think in the first one. So what that means is when I first started rating, they had a MOS list for all branches, right? And they were broken up into mild, moderate, and severe. Slight, moderate, and severe. If it was moderate and severe, and MOS is on that list and is under moderate and severe, you request a CMP exam. If it was mild, they said do not request a CMP exam. And you get to deny it if it's not documented, treated, or diagnosed in service. And then they changed it. And here's why. I think they changed it. Now you have what they call PAC personnel, right? People that work in office. Go in there, they handle your orders. If you're PCS and they come in and you go, what does that PAC stand for? Personnel Admin Center or something like that. So they don't just work in division or at brigade. they'll be in a combat unit. They'll be assigned to a field artillery unit. We had them, my field artillery units, infantry, armor. So every time they got deployed, those pack personnel got deployed, right? Supply, same thing. They could be working in division somewhere in arms room and never be around any noise, but they still have to go unqualified. So then they open it up and said, as long as the veteran says, hey, they were treated, they started in service or they claimed it, just send them for an exam. But I think those are one of the, not only the easiest claims to win, those are one of the most easiest claims to lose if you don't know what you're doing.
Well,
Is exposure inhalation of diesel fuel considered terror? I got a video on terror. People, come on. And so when the tagline that a Marine gave me, I'm gonna toot my own horn. It's true. Go to my channel. I just did it this year. Type in TERA, it'll come up, and I'm showing the VA's website. I give the link, and you can go there and you can see all the different things that they say fall under terror. Okay, and we can't get them. We can't get into them on a live stream. This is you, Dave.
Annette, what's going on? One of my favorite followers on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which article you're referring to, but please share it in the link because I would love to check it out. And if I could also do a video on it. And that's another thing, by the way, guys, if you guys have questions, a lot of the videos that I do on my channel is from questions that you guys ask on live streams or when you drop comments. Because like that's how I'm sure, Dwayne, that's how you get a whole video, all these videos about it, because it's like you check the comments. You're like, all right, Dave, a lot of people have questions about something similar. Let's get a video on it. So then it eliminates frustration for the viewers, right?
Yeah.
To be able to search it, look it up. Because otherwise, this live stream would be 12 hours.
Right. And Dave, I never asked you this question. Can you share, do you have a specific date of the month that you go live? I know you go live on your channel with, hold on, let me get this right. Lourdes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So the funny thing is that we started doing them the day before ours. So just because we'll do it like when we do ours, it's just on like, hey, real estate and lending, because like what's the updates, what's happening right now, what market shifts are we seeing? We talk about VA disability, and home loan stuff, because I have a lot of people on the home loan side and a lot of clients that don't know about VA disability and they want it. So it's kind of like a perfect marriage, you could say, of just like information that flows through.
Yeah. So VA Housing Education, make sure you go and subscribe to David Piatek's channel, VA Housing Education, so you can get notified the next time him and Lourdes goes live. They go live. All right. Yeah. Annette has been a support of mine for years now. Thank you, Annette, for the super sticker, and all the support is definitely appreciated.
I don't like Annette anymore. She said 63 in Arizona and sunny.
Uh-oh. Well, we got to beat. We got to beat down here. So just real quick, I wanted let everybody know I do have a monthly membership. You can find details on this link. We up to about almost 40 lessons, I believe, and we have about 10 live streams where I give a block of instruction on something. So definitely make sure and go and get it checked out. I saw that day when I was like, wait a minute, let me chime in there. And that 63 and sunny, 65 and Tampa. What part of Tampa he in? Because I'm showing 71. He must be up in North Tampa somewhere, like an hour north of me. Also, I want to give a shout out to both our sponsors, Access Medical Solutions, Dr. Freeman. If you need a medical DBQ and it doesn't have to be done in person, make sure you reach out to him and his team in Lafayette, Louisiana. And Tampa Council and Wellness is one of our sponsors here in sunny Tampa, Florida. Dr. Garcia, he is a Marine veteran. Dr. Freeman is a veteran as well. Dr. Carlos Garcia, he does DBQs and nexuses for mental conditions only. So if you need that, make sure you reach out to one of them, and you can also find their information in the description section. Okay. There you go, Dave. This is you.
what is the best way to use a small amount of my home equity? So that's a question a lot of people have because you have a first mortgage that might have a really good interest rate, but you don't want to refinance the whole thing because you maybe need $5,000 or $10,000. What's the answer? So I did a video on understanding how to take out a home equity line of credit. Now, depending on the amount that you need, sometimes it's just not worth getting a home equity line of credit because basically it's just second mortgage that attaches to your property and it's like a checkbook uh in a sense. It's a 30-year mortgage. First 10 years are interest only, and there's a normally a 10-year draw period. That means you can draw on that line of credit for 10 years, pay it back, pay it off. So in one sense, if you're able to get a HELOC just in general, I highly recommend getting one and max that puppy out. You don't need to use that money, okay? And I always say, when you don't need money, everyone wants to give you money. But when you need money, nobody wants to give you money. A HELOC is a way to protect yourself. Now, full disclosure, you wouldn't work with me for something like that as of today. I would recommend going to like a local bank. You might be able to get a really good deal. I know, Dwayne, you came to me too with that. And I'm like, hey, you know what? We looked at it and I made a recommendation to work with someone else because they were able to get a better deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we reviewed it and we were good. So if you guys have questions, you could always hit me up and submit a form and be like, hey, take a look at this. Am I good or am I being taken advantage of? Always happy to take a look at it. But that HELOC, if you're trying to get like $2, $3, $4, $5,000, I recommend just getting a personal loan, right?
Yeah.
That'd normally be the solution. HELOCs have tighter requirements. They're not like VA loans. VA loans are very loose in their requirements. So typically you need, in general, I'm talking from based on my experience, because again, every bank is different. Typically like 660 or higher credit score, tighter debt to income ratios than a VA loan for sure. So just make sure you be on the lookout for that. And then just understand the cost. Sometimes they're really cheap to get HELOCs, and sometimes it's expensive depending on who you work with. So shop around with a couple local banks and see what you can get.
Yeah. All right. Good evening. Increase from 80 to 90 on December 11th. Congrats. But VA website don't have retro and payment. What should I do? Look at your notification letter. That's where it's at, people. A lot of times veterans will get the notification letter and the rating decision. It comes in the same packet. The notification letter will give the breakdown. It won't give a full breakdown of what the retro should be, but it will have, okay, you were 80% this month in year, this month dating year, and then you're going to 90% this month dating year. So if you're a single veteran, you can go out to the VA compensation rate table. Oh, 80% is, I don't know, 1,700. 90% is 2,100. And it took them 4 months. Well, whatever that difference is, multiply it by 4, and that should be your retro. Okay. Man, I never heard of that. That sounds like it's upstate New York.
I thought I was talking about like Germany.
Catskills. Oh, you're thinking of I used to live in Bavaria.
Bavaria. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Yeah. But yeah. Actually, no, we have a Batavia in Illinois.
Oh, okay. I'm rated at 90%. And with unemployability, my overall rating is 100%. If my rating was increased to 100 plus unemployability, would I receive a monetary? No, because you're already getting paid at the 100%. So the only difference is you're not going to have to report every year that you're working. Are you working or not? Okay, but no, they're not gonna do that because you're getting paid at the 100%. So if you're getting, what is it, 37, I think it went up to 38.51 now if you're a single veteran for 2025, and you go from 90% with IU to 100% overall, you're still 100%. So it's going to be the same. No, I get what he's saying though. Good question. Send me some sun. Is literally snowing right now.
I know the pain.
I'm gonna be selfish and say no, because if I take sun away from us down here and give it to you, then we get cold. So
this is true. Selfish. And they don't have jackets where Dwayne is from.
I have a Carhartt jacket, that I bought like early 2000, and I'm not going to get rid of because I paid some money for it. Paid like $50. And I bought, you know where I bought it? I bought it in Marion, Illinois, right off I-57. And Marion, Illinois sits right on 57. And for those of you that are familiar, I'm pretty sure Dave is familiar with Southern Illinois, but he probably never heard of Marion.
No.
But guess what it sits next to? Carbondale. You're at Carbondale, Southern
Yeah.
Illinois. So it's like you got to go through Marion to get to Carbondale. So yeah, that's where it's at.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they got that federal penitentiary there. I think John Gotti was there. But anyway, why do you guys keep saying VA benefits will be gone? We didn't say that.
No.
No, we didn't say anything about that.
No, he said there's
Nothing.
chatter out there and there's no documentation around it. Yeah.
Well, that's how wars get started, right?
That's how wars get started. Yes.
Yeah, and I think I did a video where I talk about big change, and they're like, "Why are you fear mongering?" I'm like, "Nothing that I'm just saying what other people are saying, and there's nothing to substantiate it.
Yeah.
That's it." And you know that goes back to what I was just saying. Read the notification and decision letter. People are not understanding this information and twisting it. It's you, Dave.
Oh, yeah. If you have a room in your house, can you rent it out to a vet and get paid all or part of the rent by the government for it? Do you know more about this program and what it's called? So there's actually a lot of programs out there that you may qualify for. Now, if you're trying to, let's say, veterans out there want to apply for the HUD-VASH, but they may not be eligible. But on the flip side, what if you brought someone to your house that had a HUD-VASH program so you could rent to them and then collect that HUD-VASH dollar amount? So normally what I've seen, because again, this is very specific and there's so many programs in every area, it does it completely different from city to city, from county to county and state to state. It's widely different. So normally it's for a full dwelling unit, meaning like, hey, I have a 3-unit building and one of the units is going to be occupied by a veteran with a HUD-VASH program. Then you would be able to do that. Now, some of these also have requirements like a standard of living conditions for the property. So that is something you have to be aware of, that you may have to go through a inspection to meet that requirement. I have not seen individual room rentals allowed. Now, where I have seen is that some people are able to get their basements as legal separate dwelling units that they can then rent. So I've seen people make $1,000 to $1,500 a month by putting in a kitchenette, a small, fridge, and then it has a room and a bathroom. Okay. And they separate that space out with like a locked door, and then it has an outside entrance as well. So there is ways that you can do that. Not only that, I did a video I think this week or last week, about side hustle is your key to financial freedom. This would count as a side hustle. If you're renting out in your room, even just in your house, and you're counting that towards your taxes, and you have that for 2 years, you can use that as actual income to qualify. So there's different ways that people could do things. I got some vets that are 100% PNT. They buy a house, they rent out, 2-3 rooms, and the house is paid for, and they have no mortgage payment, and they're just laughing at the bank. Now, they wait a year or two, and then they go buy another property. So there's so much opportunity out there for home ownership. And I'll tell you this, is that sometimes I hear a lot that housing is unaffordable. It's extremely affordable in a sense that when I look online, there's plenty of properties under $200,000. Nice condition homes. They're just spread out across the country, right? So you have to really look at what your opportunity is, or you're going to have to just learn how to save and not spend as much money. Budget and credit is your keys to freedom.
Well, I think when you said something, when you stated people say home ownership is not affordable. I think a lot of times, one, it's a couple of factors. The location, right? Yes. So obviously, if you're in San Diego, Orange County, California, maybe downtown Miami, downtown Seattle, downtown Chicago, certain areas, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably hard to afford it on a certain wage, but I think also it's people's spending habits.
Oh,
They
yeah.
make it unaffordable for themselves. So if you got some bad habits, I was driving through I went to this few years back. It was an apartment complex. Somebody had like what are those Porsche, the four-door
Oh,
sedans?
those the sedans, the Panameras.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that's a
I
nice
like
car.
cars.
And they were like, yeah, he lives up on the third floor in the apartment complex.
And that's like a $2,000 a month payment.
And I'm like, so this person, I don't know this situation. Maybe I was wrong for assuming, but maybe they just didn't want a home. They want an apartment, whatever, for that reason. But what about the people that decide, okay, I don't want a home because I don't want a house note. I don't want all the trouble.
Trouble.
But you go buy a car, that's probably will be more than your house note.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's the number one deal killer. I'll tell you that. And the funny thing is, people, when they call and make appointments now, they watch the videos. They're like, I know what you said in your videos about the car, but I had to buy a car. And I'm like, why don't you call me first before you make these decisions? And to touch base on affordability, and you mentioned California. So I thought the same thing. Okay. And this week, I had a viewer reach out last week, and they were looking to buy in California, where it is ridiculously expensive. They were able to find a house under 200,000 that's really nice in a nice area.
Mm.
So yes, location is key, but if you have your VA disability and you go into a state where you don't pay property taxes, that's positive, right? You are saving a lot of money every month. The rest of it is going to be up to you and what power moves you want to make. I'm telling you. And not only that, this year has been the year that I've helped the youngest people buy homes. I think the youngest person this year I helped buy a house, okay? Buy a house, 19 years old.
Wow.
19.
Wow.
The other one was 20. So, wow. I mean, they were scared, but they knew what they were doing. They had their family support, and nobody gave him money, by the way. Nobody said, here's a hand me to give for a down payment, or here's money for closing costs. They saved up themselves.
Wow.
19.
Good for them. Good for them. So they were right out of high school.
Yeah.
Years right
they
out
were
of
working in jobs. So, like, I mean, depending on where you're at, like, this happened in Illinois, but if you have people that they've been working since they've been 16. So they have a work history. They were working part-time and they went full-time. I got guys that work at factories that are making 90 grand a year, 19 years old, 18. It's kind of, you'd be surprised on what opportunity lies out there. You just have to be willing to get it.
Right. Got to go.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Yeah. We didn't even say that earlier. Christmas is next week. I need to check on some things I bought. Make sure they've shipped online.
I'm worried too. Don't worry.
Yeah. I know 30 so far say that you have to be 30% in order for your question. In order for your question is, can the VBA still add them on without getting money? Or do I have to wait? You have to wait. You have to wait. This is you, Dave.
Selling a home with a V loan, the mortgage company told me if sold as an assumable loan to a non-veteran, then my entitlement stays with the lender and I won't get it back. All right. I did a whole video, and I only mentioned that because this is like an hour-long conversation. So I have a whole video on that, on VA assumable loans on my channel, but I'll give you the short version. If all VA loans are assumable after a certain year, but most people have the assumable loans. If and I'm going to use myself an example. So a non-veteran comes in, tries to buy assume my mortgage, it locks my benefits into the property. Okay. Until that house is sold, I cannot get my benefits back. That's one. Two, let's say they locked out I bought the house for 200,000. So they only lock out 200,000 of your benefits. You'd still have you would have like $604,500 left of entitlement to use to buy another property. So you do have options with it. The only it's complicated because it's like a whole discussion because it's like there's so many factors that go into it. Like, why are you considering an assumable? And I also one thing I want to mention right now is that I had this happen to a veteran. I talked to him this week, and I've never heard of this program, but it's a scam. Okay, and it's legal, but like I just don't. I'm gonna explain it to you guys. And do not fall for this, especially if you're having like a hard time selling your property, right? If you're going to foreclosure, something like that, maybe different story. So the veteran told me, like, hey, I have my VA home loan tied into a property right now. And I said, well, you don't, but he's like, I sold the house. And I'm thinking to myself, like, did a company come in and assume your VA home loan? And he's like, no. He's like, I sold it to them, but I let them keep my current mortgage attached to it. And then like I did I signed a contract basically locking him out from doing anything with that loan. Then you're for real locked in until they actually sell that house. It was
wow.
It was just like I was like, that is to me, that's a scam. Like, may not be, but like, and the veteran didn't really even understand what happened. They said like, oh, their realtor told them this is a good idea. And that's the challenge. I think a lot of times when I'm talking with people, like they put a lot of trust in us to walk them through what's best. Right. And like when I look at situations and people that talk to me know me, like I get spicy because I wouldn't, if I would never recommend something that I wouldn't do myself. Right, because I do this every day. So when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. This is how it can make sense. This is how it does it. Then you have the information you need to make decisions. But yeah, check out the channel. There's a whole I have a whole video on the assumable loan.
Man, that is crazy.
That is crazy. I was blown away, man.
Yeah. So NIR said you need a child social security number. Yeah, that sounds about right. Like I said, as a rater, I never added dependents. VSRs do that, but it sounds about right. And they said you need a certificate. And it's okay. All right. Can I use my VA home loan if my credit scores are below 620?
Yes, you can. So there's technically no minimum credit score. What happens is there is a credit, like your credit makeup is going to be the main factor. And what the VA is primarily looking for, and it's even in their VA handbook. It's like, I know, Dwayne, you have your Bible of VA disability. We have our Bible as well, which is the VA handbook, right? 616 pages of very boring, put you to sleep kind of content, but you got to know it in order to kind of talk about it, right? So what they're looking for is last 12 months of on-time payments, and that's really going to be the stability factor, right? Plus, typically, you're going to need some compensating factors, but having stable disability, like compensation or SSDI, that does count towards that. So just kind of keep that in mind as you go through this.
Yep.
So you can definitely do it. I recommend just never self-deny. I'm a huge advocate of that. Please schedule a call with me in the description.
Now, VAHousingEducation.com. That's the correct email. Correct. Okay. So I've been running that tickers down below. So everybody go out today's website, VA Housing Education.
All
right.
This is a good one. Do mostly only local banks do one-time closed construction loans? I see that trend that the big banks don't want to do this. So this is interesting because I've looked at a lot of one-time closed construction loans in the last week, and that's because I did a video on construction. Well, there's two different things here. Buying a new construction that's already built, veterans get they get definitely taken advantage of. I have a whole video on that. New construction loan is where you are buying the land and financing the construction of the property. So what Andy's asking is that what a one-time construction loan is that when you get your initial loan, you have one loan that you keep for that whole time until for the full 30 years or whatever you have. A two-time construction loan is where you get a temporary financing option on your house. Like, let's say it's interest only, it's based on draws. Because as you guys know, if you're building a $500,000 house, you don't need $500,000 today to build the house. They need them in draws to, like, hey, we finished the foundation, we need money. We finished the framing, we need money. So, right. And then after you're done with the house, you get a certificate of occupancy, and then you refinance that loan into your permanent loan. So you pay closing costs twice. So that's why Andy's asking, like, one time. So I've seen it as a mix. And VA construction loans are also very tricky if you're trying to do it with, let's say, a local builder that doesn't have experience with it, because you can get yourself in hot trouble. But the flip side is, like, these big big companies that do these, they also charge you the most amount of money I've ever seen. It is also sad.
All right. So we're at 10 minutes, Dave. We're going to go into
Yeah.
rapid fire here. What's the max eligible amount for veterans to purchase a home in the state of Texas?
You can go 10 million if you want, as long as you can afford it. There's no max amount if you have your outstanding VA home loan. If you have a VA loan and you want to buy another property, then it's going to be capped at $806,500 in about 12 days.
Okay. Dwayne, watch your channel all the time. Great stuff. Thank you, Tim, for the support. Definitely appreciate it. Why does the VA keep sending my claim for IMO? Asia, I have no clue. It could be a lot of factors there. Sometimes vet submits DBQs without a nexus statement, and they need that nexus statement, and they'll just ask the doctor, hey, look at the information. We don't need a DBQ. We need a nexus statement. I used to do that. I don't think a lot of RVSRs do that today. But in your particular case, I could just give you 10 reasons, and maybe not all of them are the actual reason as it pertains to your claim. Can you ask if the buddy statements work? Should I add a DD-214 from the person that gave the statement? I wouldn't go so far as that, because you may confuse that person, and they'd be like, okay, who is the actual veteran? It should be clear cut, because all your information in there, and it's just something from that one person. But, give them dates that you all were in the same unit, because then they can look that person up if that person has actually filed a claim, and that will help them confirm that you all were stationed together. Daylight savings time.
That was from the time confusion earlier.
Okay. So I want to thank all you for all you do. Listen, you have to be prepared for my HLR. I was awarded my benefits. There it is. There it is. He never talked to me on the phone, and he just won.
There's a lot of people that have watched, like, the videos, and they just go out and do it.
Yeah. It's I tell people, you can actually do this yourself. Don't call me until you get stuck, and then we'll have a conversation, a Q&A. But other than that, just invest the time to educate yourself and be patient. Question: I broke my ankle in the Navy. I had surgery. Now 20 years later, I need surgery on my ankle. Filing new claims with VA. Will this get approved? I can't say that it is. It will. I hope that it does. I think what you have going for you is, the broken ankle in the Navy. You might get some Raiders, if you didn't get treatment during those 20 years, they're going to say, oh, there's no continuity, but you broke your ankle. It is not the same as before you broke your ankle. So at least at a minimum, you should get a C&P exam, and the doctor has to give a positive opinion. And do not shop for a yes answer, because as soon as you get that yes and they say no, then you're going to be upset.
Can't get my COE because I don't qualify at 100% TDAU. Can I get another type of home loan with no money down? So just so you guys know, if you have a disability rating, it doesn't mean that you can automatically get a VA home loan and get your certificate of eligibility. David, if you want to reach out, I would be curious to find out what it was. A lot of times it's, people are put in like a holding because they got injured, but to get out faster, they take a general discharge and they don't take a medical discharge. I've seen that too often. And then it's hard to go back. Like, I have a National Guard member that got taken out for an injury, but instead they put she was pregnant, and then that's why they discharged her. She's like, well, that's not what it was supposed to be. Right. But that's the tough part, kind of going back. There's not really much options with no money down unless it's a VA home loan. Typically, you have to put a minimum of 3% down with a conventional loan, but and you can still use the TDIU as income. So definitely schedule a call with me and I can go over that with you.
Right.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah. All right. I didn't have my glasses on. I thought it said thank you for the avalanche. So I was thinking of upstate New York when we were talking about earlier. I had my glasses on. Helping Vietnam vet with PTSD claim. How do I get one-on-one with you to discuss claim specifics of previous denials? Shoot me an email at info@kmd89.com. And I give you a link to my Calendly link so you can get set up, and it gives the description and fee as well. My husband told him permanent disabled and unemployable since 2004, collecting at 100% rate. When he dies, will I be eligible for DIC, and does his death have to be service connected? Good question. Guess what? I got a video on that. DIC. I'll refer you to that because I'm giving you the M21-1. If the veteran dies from a service connected condition, yes, you should be able to qualify for DIC. If they do not pass away from a service connected condition, I think he has to be service connected 100% for 10 years or more. So you should be good. But watch that video, okay? Going to VA like going to a car insurance adjuster for car repairs, or they're going to minimize everything to save the VA insurance company money. Do you have to get treatment at the VA? Let's take the last question first. You don't have to get any treatment at the VA.
But they are good by me.
Yeah, I haven't had, I was there, I probably had like $3,000 worth of dental work at the VA. I've been blessed. I had one issue a few years ago, had a knucklehead that worked at the VA. I was going in for an ENT appointment, and they said, hey, you need to reschedule. And instead of him saying, hey, a lot of times they'll ask you, hey, the doctor want to see you again. What dates? They want to see you again in 2 months. And they'll say, do you want mornings or afternoons? He was just handing out a point. I was like, that doesn't work for me. I got a job. What dates do you have available? I can tell you which one I can show up for. And it got kind of heated. And I told her, I went back and I said, I need to speak to the doctor. And I told the doctor what he was doing. He was like, well, just find him an appointment that works for him. I'm like, you sitting here telling people, just giving out appointments. Oh, you got to show up on this date. Dude, you crazy as a road lizard.
That is. But there's some, like I said, that are really good. Like one by me is like concierge medicine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Concierge. Wait a minute. T-bond for 3 months and get a better interest.
And that's like a financial. I would need to know a lot more information on that.
All right, Griff. I've been on your live a few times. Thank you for all you do. Submitted my BDD claim 6. That's what I'm talking about. Big Griff, thank you for that super chat. Congrats. I know that's a load off coming off of active duty. File claim for back pain a week later. Another for anxiety. Claims were combined to one claim. Why? They can do that. Should I have waited till the first claim was? No, I mean, if you filed a claim a week apart, I could see if it was 10 months apart, and they combined it. But a week, nah, not going to make a huge difference. CMP exam diagnosed me with depression. However, examiner couldn't service connect. So how do I get them to service connected? Have service connected. It's 5 ways of service connection. Where does it fall under the 5 ways of service connection? And do you have evidence to support that? So the question becomes, yeah, you got to, I did a video on using favorable findings in your favor. So if you're claiming it, like say direct service connection, secondary service connection, you got to have 3 things for both. But one is a current diagnosis. They gave you a diagnosis. So you can turn around and claim it depression secondary to all those service-connected conditions. Still got to go to the CMP exam, and the doctor has to say yes. Obstructive sleep and obstructive sleep apnea secondary. Already had a private doctor provide next to the DBQ submitted. VA keeps denying, saying I don't seek treatment at the VA. I never seen that in a rating decision saying you have to seek treatment. Now, what they may say, there's no continuity or be a number of things, but I've never seen where they said, "Oh, since you don't get treatment at the VA, that's the reason why they're going to deny you."
Yeah, I haven't heard of that either.
Yeah, doctor, he will just minimize and misdiagnose me. Yeah, some primary care physicians are kind of funny about that. Thanks, guys, for all you do. They think my credit score has increased. If you could please contact me, contact David, vhousingeducation.com. Because a lot of people say, here's my number, give me a call. And I'm like, do you know how many emails I get and phone calls I get from people? It's easier to contact me. Okay. All right. Well, Dave, I'm going to let you close it out. We are at 1 hour.
Oh yeah, I got babies to put down to sleep.
Yeah.
But no, I want to say thank to everyone that joined us today. I appreciate you. Want to answer this?
Yeah, I just saw that he
Yeah.
gave a super sticker. Today I received a call from VS asking if I had sleep study in a CPAP. I sent them my results and later received an email saying I received a call from VS about another exam. Is that normal? I don't know what VAS is doing or actually what they're doing with your claim, but if you submitted a claim for sleep apnea, you should have had that sleep study submitted with your claim. And if you did, they should have been able to see it. So I don't know what's going on with VES services. But just keep in mind, sleep apnea, it has to be diagnosed with a sleep study. So you have to send that in with your particular claim. Got one more super sticker day. VA OTC loan in Texas is easy. Why is it so difficult everywhere else? Have you heard of that? OTC? What is it?
You know what? Let me look that up. So
Okay.
VAOT.
So while Dave is looking that up, I am going to.
I'm not sure what is a OCC loan, which is a one-time close. All right, so I'll actually before we wrap up, I'm gonna just fire off a couple things because people that want to build homes, yes, you need higher credit scores and they have tighter debt-to-income requirements. If you're looking to buy a multifamily, because I know Jeff put that up there. Hit me up, schedule a call, and I can walk you through that. Because like a lot of times with this stuff, guys, is that never we're always saying like never disqualify yourself from your VA home loan or just your VA benefits in general, right? Just like with VA disability, like too many times people are like, well, I don't deserve that. There's somebody else that needs it. Right. And it's mind-blowing to hear because of the amount of benefits that you get with this. And I think around this holiday season, when you're getting with family, and you have some time off, take a step back, right? Because we're always involved in our like day-to-day lives. And just like in business, you have to take a step back so you're not in it all the time and really evaluate what you're trying to do for 2025. Do you
you're supposed to do that if you're in business?
Yes, just like business planning. Yes.
Oh, man, I need to. Oh, wait a minute. I'm write that down.
Which, by the way, we need to set up a time to go. Well, we already did that, right? Because Dwayne and I sat down for all of next year, what we're doing, what we want to accomplish. But like that's the same stuff that you do at home, right? With your spouse, with your children. What do you want to do? That's how you set the budget, right? We want to go on 4 vacations next year. How much is it going to cost us? And guess what?
Yeah.
If you schedule in advance, you get it cheaper. And if you get the mobile app for these hotels and stuff, guess what? You could book them today, not pay today, and then cancel up to 24 hours before. Yep. So save yourself money. Like there's all last minute the decisions cost you the most amount of money, right?
Yeah.
Planning gets you ahead. Knowing your financial picture puts you ahead. And it takes all that stress off, especially with the holidays. People will be asking for a lot more expensive gifts these days, Dwayne. Like socks don't do it anymore. Like that's like what I got when I was a kid. Like, for my parents to buy us like, we didn't have that kind of money to be like, oh, we could get whatever. It was like socks and I got a shirt and I was like, this is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'll leave it with that.
Okay. All right. So everyone, make sure you go out to Dave's YouTube channel, VA Housing Education. Subscribe. We have set dates and times next year. We're going to be going live. So if you subscribe and hit that notification button, you will be notified of when we go live. Okay. And make sure you check out Dave's YouTube channel and his live streams with Lourdes. With that being said, good night. Be safe. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year if we don't see you for the rest of the year on any of our lives. And make sure you get educated on home ownership and VA compensation. Have a good one.
Let's see you guys. Merry Christmas.